Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to this episode of Matt's Rad Show. I'm excited for today's episode, you guys, because today I am in Anoka, Minnesota, which is the Halloween capital of the world. In the 1920s, there was so much shenanigans happening in this city that the town got together and said, hey, instead of fighting all of the Halloween shenanigans, let's just throw a big celebration for it. And we'll just invite all the kids out and everyone out to have a good old time. And they did. They had a great celebration in the 1920s. It might have been actually in 1920. I believe they were the first city to have a Halloween celebration. So, for that reason, they are considered the Halloween capital of the world. But the reason I really think they're the Halloween capital of the world is because all of the hauntings that happen in this town. This town has a lot of hauntings. We are going to take a look at some of the spots that I've been able to dig up through some research and stuff. There is a haunted restaurant, used to be a haunted hotel, a haunted pub, a haunted cafe, as well as a bunch of graveyards, as well as a haunted insane asylum is in Anoka. The very first, I think, state insane asylum was in Anoka, and we're going to take a look at that today too. I'm going to go to the grounds. I'm hoping that I can film some of the grounds for you and tell you some of the stories on this episode of Matt's Rad Show, Halloween Capital. Let's see if we can get the whole thing in the shot. There she is, Anoka, bam, Anoka, Minnesota, Halloween capital of the world. Let it begin, let it be rad, and let it be haunted. Of course, any city that claims to be the Halloween capital of the world has got to have a really cool cemetery, right? So I think we should be able to find one around here somewhere. Alright guys, I'm in Oakwood Cemetery right now. It's been in use since about 1855, and no actual new plots have been sold or bought or sold since like 1890. So really there hasn't been any new graves in this for like over 100 years. So every single gravestone in this cemetery is probably 100 years old or more. Most of them more. Everything is really old. I haven't been able to find any grave sites that are after 1900 so far. Really cool. Something interesting here between these two trees. I don't know what that is. Just a random, maybe it's holding two together to try to keep them from growing apart. I don't know. Civil War. War of 1812. Whoa. This is amazing how old. Civil War, an unknown soldier here. Something very peaceful about walking through a graveyard. Just kind of remembering that we are all here for a short time. So make it count. That little dash between the dates you were born and you die. That dash represents your life. What do you want your dash to represent? I don't know, it's a good reminder. Make it count, folks. Let's keep looking. It's crazy. They got a gravestone right here. Some script written on it. I can't really read it. But then in these bushes, just some more gravestones kind of nestled in this bush here. Wow, look at this grave, you guys. Looked like it broke off here and fell down, and then since then the earth has grown up around it. 18 something. 1857. Wow. So pretty. Well guys, I think it's time we head to our next location. Let's go take a look at another haunted location. Hey guys, we're at our first haunted location here. This building right here behind me is said to be built on an ancient Indian burial ground. Of course, it's always about Indian burial grounds. That has not been able to be substantiated though, apparently. But this building has gone through multiple owners, multiple different types of businesses. Since 1888 it was built, and apparently it's pretty haunted. Workers have had experiences there. There was one guy who said a ghost was messing with his clothes at one point. Another time, one of the workers was closing up shop for the night, and she had taken all of the salt and pepper shakers, distributed them across all of the tables and all of the, you know, the different napkins and everything. And when she came in the next morning to open, they had all been stacked onto one table. We can go in the door right here, but the business is actually closed. It looks like it's a new business. It looks like it's a wine business. So another time, a group of people were said to have had a seance in the basement of this building, and during that time they heard footsteps and all sorts of stuff coming from the upper room, and when they came upstairs there was nobody there. But apparently they were doing this around December because the Christmas tree had turned itself on. So there's a lot of lights going on in this place. I think doors opening and closing, unexplained noises, unexplained happenings all throughout this building. Since a lot of the stories that I heard about were about the basement, I just wandered into the thrift cellar. So I'm gonna go down there and see how I feel. We're down here in the basement now of that building, in the thrift store just next door to that building where all the stories have happened. You could tell there was definitely some cool stuff in this basement, in this cellar at one point in time. And there's a lot of antiques down here right now. All kinds of cool vintage things. And it's actually kind of spooky down here. The painting's awesome. Pretty cool down here. Ooh, this just kind of creeped me out. Just little kids. That kind of creeped me out. Let's go back upstairs. That was cool though. I didn't realize that there was a thrift shop in this building. So that was basically the same, we're in the same structure as the haunted building. That was the basement. There was kind of a eerie feeling down there, but I get that feeling a lot when I'm in basements. I'll have to come back when it's open sometime. Alright guys, we stopped off at a place called Beerbellies. It's called Beerbellies Bar. It's a bar now. It's in downtown Anoka. It used to be an Irish pub. Now this place is supposed to be so haunted with paranormal activity that in 2002 they actually had an exorcism done on this place. And apparently they said they allowed all of the good ghosts to stay and all of the bad ghosts were exorcised, if you will, out of here. So the story goes that before that actually happened, all kinds of stuff would happen here. Lights would mistakenly turn on and off all the time. A coffee mug actually flew across the room and multiple people saw this happen. The owner was downstairs closing the bar a few times and he heard footsteps and stuff coming from upstairs. When he looked at the, what do you call it, the video camera, there was nobody upstairs, but he heard people upstairs and like heard noises and stuff. There's been other times where employees have, I think, felt the presence of ghosts and seen ghosts and all kinds of crazy stuff happening here. But probably the craziest story I heard about this place was that there was an old woman who used to come here and just talk to herself. Like for 2 years she did this, and after they had the exorcism, apparently she came back in after that had happened and she asked them what happened to the ghosts that I used to sit here and talk to. And they were like, that's crazy. And apparently she's a self-proclaimed witch. She was a self-proclaimed witch. I don't know how you self-proclaim yourself. I guess you just were like, hey, I'm a witch, I'm a witch, I'm a witch. I guess you just do that, I don't know. And, but yeah, anyway, kind of a creepy story here. Some spooky stuff going on in this building. Now outside of Billy's Bar and Grill, downtown Anoka still. This place is one of the most haunted spots in Anoka. It dates back to the early 1900s like everything else does. It used to be a hotel and, winky winky, a brothel servicing the men back in the day. In the early 1900s, a bunch of loggers, let me get the sun out of your eyes. The loggers would come to this area. They would spend a whole month out in the woods logging stuff in all the mills and everything. Then they would come to this building right here and they would stay for the weekend, pay for some entertainment, if you know what I mean, and kick back a few, rest. Supposedly, sometimes at night you can see in one of these windows up here the image of a lady. I think she's dressed in black. I guess, supposedly up there somewhere. Stories have been told about employees seeing a woman walking around the building, a ghost woman, that is, walking around the building. So some of the old workers that used to work there, the ladies, if you will, supposedly haunt this place. The lady who used to run the place was called Miss Jackson, I believe. Sorry, Miss Jackson. Ooh. And the thought is that she haunts the place today. So there's a few stories about her. One says that she actually killed herself by hanging herself in the 3rd story off the chandelier. Another says that the patrons, the women, if you will, killed her and stole her money. Neither of which I think is true, because there's evidence that says she died of pneumonia in her cabin in 1918. So, you know, believe what you want to believe. Nevertheless, though, it's supposed to be extremely haunted. Let's go get some food inside this haunted restaurant. See what we can see. The food is really good. I've actually eaten there a couple times, and it's really good food. And they give you free popcorn. Always gotta love that. I'm eating popcorn now. It's Friday night, and it's a very busy restaurant. Popcorn, it's yummy. Supposedly the basement to this restaurant is one of the most haunted spots. It's so haunted that many of the workers do not even go down there. There's a story that there's a room downstairs, or a cooler of some sort, with only one door in it, and apparently one time they could not get the door open, and finally they pushed and pushed and pushed, and finally they got it open, only to find that all of the beer had been stacked up against the door, and nobody else was in that room, and there's no other way to get in or out of that room. So I decided to go on a little walkabout to see if I could find the basement door. Checking to see right now if I can go downstairs and film. Looks kind of cool down there. Okay, not allowed to go downstairs, so we are heading out. Old school Pac-Man. That's pretty sweet. Good day. Coming through. Excuse me. Thank you. Okay. Alright guys, I have now traveled to the Anoka treatment facility centers, but back in the day, this place was built in 1900 as the first state insane asylum for patients who were insane. They built this in the early 1900s to treat those patients. Now, this place was said to be one of the craziest treatment centers in the whole state, probably, you know, the whole country. I mean, they were doing weird stuff to try to treat people back then. This place supposedly treated patients with the electroshock therapy, with hydrotherapy, and even with lobotomies. Now, some of the patients tried to escape, and there's a lot of nearby neighborhoods. We're not that far away from downtown Anoka, so you can just imagine the stories of insane asylum people escaping from this place and going into the community and stuff. It's absolutely crazy. Now, here is a little, you'll notice right down here, it's a little manhole. I don't know where that goes. It's supposed it goes downtown. It just goes down underground. Downtown, Julie Brown. Underneath us right now, it's a bunch of tunnels. They built a bunch of tunnels underneath here so that they could transport the patients from one area of the insane asylum to another area of the insane asylum without them escaping. Because I'm walking around a circle right now. I'm in the center of the grounds. And on this side right here is a building. And as we keep walking around here, the buildings are laid out in a circle so that if they wanted to try to create a more homey feel for the patients, not like a big, huge building or whatever, but a bunch of smaller. And so the patients would get transported from one area to another underground. So apparently there's loads of tunnels underground me right now. And so what happened is the patients would try to escape, some of them, and they would get in these tunnels underground, and then they would get lost, and they would freak out, and it's said that some of them hung themselves on the pipes that were underground. This place is supposed to be the most haunted insane asylum in the entire country. A lot of these buildings are so old that they're abandoned. They're just abandoned right now. Each one of them is locked off. There's a gate almost in every single one of them. And their fate is kind of up in the air right now. They were going to try to make them into veteran housing, and they were trying to get them on the historical, into the historical building registry. I don't know if that's happened, so I don't know what's going to happen to these buildings. They might get torn down. We can't get inside them, but I can film all around them. So let's take a look at this crazy insane asylum here, and I'm just going to film all sorts of stuff. Another crazy thing about this place was that when the patients died, as a lot of them did on the grounds, they buried them and they just gave them the number to what patient they were. So there's supposedly a cemetery around here. I've been looking around, I haven't found it, that just had a bunch of numbered gravestones on it, which they have recently, I think, either named the patients that were there or at least have some sort of document saying which patient was there. And if I can find the cemetery, I'll show you guys. But that's just another crazy thing about how the patients were treated here. Now, since then, though, it's gone through a lot of transitions, and this place is now actually, some of the buildings are still used as treatment centers today. And of course, they're doing a much better job at treating people today. So right here in Anoka, the Halloween capital of the world, we have a haunted insane asylum. Yeah, let's take a look. Don't think they use this entrance anymore. Look at that though. It's an old fallout shelter. This building here is still in use. Look, somebody's got Napoleon Dynamite in their office. That's like all cracked. 1917. Crazy. There's a light down there. They still use these tunnels, dude. That is crazy. It's crazy. I can't believe, I mean, there it is right there. Evidence of these underground tunnels on this old insane asylum from the 1900s. Look at this, you can tell it runs from there all the way down to there, and there's another one just beyond it, way down there. And the way everything is laid out, I mean, buildings there, over there, these tunnels must run everywhere, just underneath, all around these grounds. I'm noticing too that there's just a bunch of manholes, just random manholes on the grounds just everywhere, probably for the tunnels so people can get out. Right, we're making our way over to 3 of the buildings that are completely abandoned and probably maybe a year or 2 away from being demolished if they don't figure out what to do with them soon. So let's document them now when we can. Dude, creepy. And guess what we got? Another tunnel thing. 3 more of the little tunnel turrets. I've decided to call them tunnel turrets. Bam, bam, bam. Wild. It's creepy. You get the feeling that you're being watched like the entire time. All of these windows with all of this darkness behind them. You just get the feeling that you're being watched. I always feel like somebody's watching me. Probably because I'm on an insane asylum ground. Okay guys, the house right here, it's a little too dark right now to film. There's no street lights to film it. I did actually film it during the day, so here's those shots right now. And they said that the radio in this house turns on and off on its own. That's happened to the owners quite a bit. The doorbell rings on its own. It's an old twisty doorbell, like from the early 1900s, and it like ring, ring. Someone actually has to like do that, and it rings on its own when nobody's out here. Apparently the story was they heard it ring, and they went out to the front of the house, and this was when it was snowing outside, and there was no footsteps in the snow, but yet the doorbell had rang. The people living there, the headboard, they've woken up at night and the headboard was shaking, and so they've had to stop the headboard from shaking. So creepy, man. They said that they had a psychic there, and it was the ghost of a 12-year-old boy that was coming to visit the house and see the people and stuff, kind of hang out. Kind of spooky. Here, as I leave, I'll do a U-turn and I'll shine my lights on the house, so we'll go that way. That's the house right there. Apparently this house is haunted by the ghosts of 2 small kids, and the owners actually came to the Historical Society and asked them if they knew anything about their house, and they said, yeah, it's haunted by the ghosts of 2 small children. And they said, I think, well, that makes sense, because apparently they've heard kids laughing. They've heard children laughing when there's no kids at home. They turn the TVs on and off apparently a lot, these ghost children. And then the other thing is the woman who owns the house, her father came out to help her with some of the remodeling. And during that time, he didn't believe her in any of the ghost stuff, but he was sitting in the living room, I think, and he looked out on the porch and he saw a blonde child scoot across the porch. And he said, okay, now I believe you. So that's the story on that house. In this house, it's on the corner. It's right near a football field, right in the corner here. The owner woke up in the middle of the night and their light was on. So she went and she checked on her kids, and her kid had 104 temperature. And so she credits that to the ghost in there turning the light on to warn her that her kid was sick and needed attention. Another time, a squirrel had gotten into the basement, kicked on some sort of natural gas or something like that, and she came home and all the lights in the basement were on. And so she went downstairs, and that's how she found the gas leak. So again, she credits the ghost for saving her at that point. And another time, she was decorating the Christmas tree. She fell off the Christmas tree, and she actually felt hands kind of grab her and hold her and like help her down onto the ground, like broke her fall. Yeah, spooky stuff going on in that house too. Ghost. Nope, just a dude walking around, I hope. This house here has had reports of pianos playing themselves at night. Pictures move themselves on the walls from time to time. And a woman in black is seen watching over people as they sleep and moving through the house. It's apparently haunted by the ghost of a blind man named Sam, and it was his picture that was moved on the wall. The Big White House. It's a vintage furniture, home decor, and gifts and antique shop right now. But back in the day, it belonged to a doctor and his wife. And apparently, the old doctor, I believe his name was Dr. Adler, if I remember right, used to live here with his wife. Ghosts throw things off of the shelves, and also cigar smoke. Apparently Mr. Adler was a cigar smoker. You can smell cigar smoke too. The other thing that makes this kind of creepy is that he was a Mason. If you know anything about the Masons, but apparently in this hall, this is a Mason lodge right here behind me. This whole thing is a Mason lodge. And apparently there was a gentleman who was there, and he was closing up for the night, and he turned off a light upstairs, and he came downstairs, and he got to his car, and the light was on. So he went back in, turned the light on, came back down, turned the light off, came back down, the light was on again. He did that a couple times. The third time, I think as the story goes, the third time he went up there, and when he was coming down on the stairs, there's a mirror on the stairs, like in front of him or something like that, and he saw a pair of legs behind him in the mirror, I believe the story went. And since then, people have seen, just thought I saw an image in that door right there, kind of creeped me out. And you can see there's like a little orange thing right above the blue thing. And that little orange thing freaked me out. It looks like a hand. That's freaky. But you'll notice when I move my location, it moves. So it's just a reflection. Thank the Lord. But that kind of freaked me out when I looked over and saw that. Creepy that the moon's right over it. Alright, I'm in the downtown Anoka area right now. We walked past some of the storefronts and stuff downtown area. Anoka's got kind of a crazy history. There was a couple of huge fires that blew through the town in the early 1900s, I believe, and it killed a lot of people. Totally demolished the entire town. They had to rebuild a couple times. I think there was 2 big fires, and there was also a big tornado that tore through the town in the 30s and killed, I think, 9 people. Besides that, there's some, people killed on the riverfront working in the mills. There's a lot of people killed in the mills working here. Besides that, there's some Indian history here in the town of Anoka between the Dakota Indians and the Ojibwa Indians. They both, lived in these parts. Supposedly there's some Indian burial grounds in the town. They're not even sure exactly where, but probably near the river and who knows where else. I don't know. The store here, it's Party Paper and Costumes. It's a Halloween store. Apparently it's haunted by a man who used to own a store in that same location back in the 1900s when it was like all wood. That one would have burned down by now, but apparently in their front of their store they see a guy sweeping, like he's sweeping his old storefront, which would have been like the wood porch in the front of the old building, and they see that guy sweeping. Stuff gets knocked off the walls and thrown at customers, and a lot of crazy stuff has happened. Apparently they see this guy, I think he's got a top hat, haunting their store. Alright guys, I'm now currently walking downtown Anoka at night. I asked a tour guide, how many spots do you think are haunted in this town or that you guys know of? And she was like, well, if you're in the downtown area, probably all of them. So apparently, everybody who owns a store down here in this area has some sort of haunted story or haunted ghost story or something going on. There's a lot of them. She told us about a few of them, but apparently a lot of these places down here just have a lot of crazy activity going on. I see a tunnel down here. Look at this. Some interesting paintings. Whoa, what in the world? There's a girl hula hooping. This is cool though, I like what they've done. We're now underneath the bridge, downtown Anoka. Cool. They got a bunch of murals and stuff on the wall, depicting different parts of the history of this place. This one's kind of creepy. I like it. Hey guys, just walking through the tunnel here. Just met Canty, and she's a killer. Is that just a regular hula hoop? She's got mad skills, guys. Check this girl out. That's crazy good. Holy cow, how long have you been doing that for?
About a year.
Just a year? That's awesome. Do you do it for school or competition or anything like that, or just for yourself? Oh, you're really good. That's really cool.
Thank you.
That's crazy. You never know what you're gonna find walking around. That's why I love doing these episodes, man. Just walking around, meeting random people, meeting some girl who's got mad hula hooping skills as I walk underneath a bridge. Life is weird, but also really cool. Anoka's turning out to be a pretty cool little town. We are now near the falls in Anoka here. You can see these pretty lights here. That's the falls. There's the main bridge that kind of goes over the river. And this is the Rum River right here, and it just flows that way, and it meets the Mississippi River not far up here. And that's the reason why Anoka probably exists today. People kind of settled in this area because of the two rivers, because of the opportunity that provided them to put mills on the side of the river to produce things and create stuff. And so this building behind me used to be an old mill, and some disastrous things happened at it, and it's supposed to be pretty haunted. It's a different building now, but it's an old mill down by the river. Down by the river! Haunted. It looks haunted, even though it's a new structure. Still going at it down there. Okay, I'm on the other side of the mill now. It's the City Hall building, so it's all the City Hall and the city's offices and all that kind of stuff. And if you look at it overhead on Google Maps, it's the shape of a gun. So there that is. All right, I'm glad I stuck around until nighttime. Definitely a different feel. to the town, to the city at night. So I think it's about time for me to say goodbye for now. I think I'm done. And there we are, back to my car now. I'm parked over here. So thanks guys for joining me on this episode of Matt's Rad Show. Halloween capital of the world, folks. Thanks for joining me in this episode. Hopefully you saw some cool stuff. Come explore this town when you get a chance. Talk to some of the store owners about some of the stuff they've seen or whatever, and see what kind of stuff you can dig up. What? An insane asylum. So thanks guys for joining me in this episode of Matt's Rad Show. I'm gonna get out of here now because it's dark and I'm tired. And I just want to say thanks for joining me. And I keep saying that, but I don't know what else to say. So thanks, guys. I guess that's it. I'm out of here. Matt's Rad Show. Okay, bye.